We're really excited today to be joined by Genesis Owusu. His debut full-length album, Smiling with No Teeth, is coming out March 5th. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So your real name is Kofi Owusu Ansah, but you took on the name Genesis Owusu at 14, so it's more of it feels like it's more of an identity than a band name.
Yeah, definitely. It was the name Genesis actually came when I was like probably in grade 5 or 6. And it was, like you said, my name's Kofi, but back then everyone used to pronounce it like coffee, like the drink.
Yeah.
And my brother and I caught the same bus. My brother was like 5 years older, and all his friends are like, "Oh, what's his name? What's your little brother's name?" And they were saying coffee, and they didn't believe him. And apparently they just like kept badgering him until he made up the name Genesis, and then it kind of just stuck. Yeah, and that's where Genesis came from.
Well, it sounds pretty elemental. I think it really works for you.
Yeah, it really came in handy in the long run.
Yeah, so the debut album is coming out. That has to be exciting, but you did have an EP back in 2017. And at the time, one of the things that everybody was talking about was just how diverse it was. Punk, hip hop, spoken word. And I did read an interview at the time saying, who knows, maybe the next one I'll have a banjo. So I haven't heard I haven't heard the full album. Are we getting a banjo this time?
Not yet, but we have a folk song actually.
Yeah,
we have a folk song
about
about
that. A song about fishing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So getting there.
Yeah.
Banjo on the next album, probably.
In my fingers had dried to a crust. Sleep in my eyes, I picked my rust. My boots have been ravaged in browns and grays. I see no scale and I see no paper. Still I trudge to a spotless stream. Not a bird in the sky or a fish in the sea. To dwell in these waters is a foolish way. To believe one night that I'll win the day and rise and shine. To dawn I wait, to cast my net in a fishless lake. Rise and shine, to dawn I wait, casting my net in a fishless lake. I sailed downstream to see what had I pulled my boat along the land. I swam the dirt and walked the stream, and off the shore I saw a bream and tuna too. Salmon rolled through my eyes deceived, but my net had broke. I told my tale to a merchant man. He pitied me $1 and gave me his hand. He said, rise and shine, to dawn I wait, cast my net in a fishless lake. Rise and shine, to dawn I wait, casting my net in a fishless lake.
So, although I have not had a chance to hear it yet, I'm hearing hip hop, funk, industrial beats, jazz, which is a big thing with you, punk. So you're kind of all over the road again.
Yeah. I think it's just like just me being true to myself. Like I didn't just grow up listening to hip hop. Like I was exposed to all kinds of sounds. So when I make music, it only feels right to express that as well.
And you reflected that in the makeup of your band. You had people from dance music, synth pop, rock, jazz, and it had to be bizarre trying to get them to play together.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like I hadn't even met a lot of them before we got into the room together. So my manager and I, we deliberately chose this very small, like bedroom sized studio in like really hot weather, just so it was like really uncomfortable and disarming. So there was like nothing to do but the music. Like there was no egos involved because everyone was just too uncomfortable to get into their own heads. They just played the music and it was amazing. And we became great friends from that.
Well, that's cool. My understanding is you had a couple of different times that you got together and they were long days, like 10-hour
Yeah.
days. How
Yeah.
how much music did you actually record altogether from those sessions?
That yeah, there was a lot that didn't make it to the album. Um yeah, like I said, like um the sessions went for like 10 hours a day, and we probably did like 6 days. So that's yeah, around 60 hours of music.
And you listened to all of that and then just
All of that.
picked and, like, I like
Yeah,
this, I
yeah.
don't like that. And then,
Yeah, some of the songs that came from the album were like 30-second timestamps that we just edited up. So it's like going through those 10 hours a day just for those little moments of magic to create greater
how
tracks
long have
from.
you been working on this? I mean, it feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah, well, like I mean, from like the conception of the idea to the complete finish, it was about a year, but we took lots of gaps in between that year. So it was really like a good maybe like 4 or so months of just like straight hard work to really knuckle it out.
I've read a couple different places, a quote from you saying that the ethos for making this album was both punk and jazz. And I wondered if you could elaborate on what that means.
Yeah. I feel like jazz is like the ultimate expression of you can't break the rules until you know the rules. Like jazz musicians are usually like, from what I've experienced anyway, are so technically advanced, yet the genre itself came from kind of like flipping those rules on its head. And punk is kind of the same way, but without the technical um proficiency necessary. It's kind of just like doing how you feel, very rebellious. And I feel like we encompassed both of those in those studio sessions, because like, like for the longest time I've been considered a rapper. All of those people have been considered in their own specific fields, but it's kind of like we really don't care what other people think we should be making. Like, let's just make what's true to us in this very moment. So it was very, yeah, very rebellious in that sense. But also like I'm working with professionals here who really do know what they're doing.
You know, I um, I think that you're just one of those people that refuses fences. You don't like boundaries. Uh, and
Yeah, of course.
and so, like, you have a song on this album about fishing. We've already talked about that. But there's also music in here that deals with depression and racism.
Hmm.
Um, there's one track we've been playing a lot called "Don't Need You." It's been number one. It was number one in Australia already for 4 weeks, and you've referred to that as an anthem of independence.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Don't Need You was actually one of the later tracks that we finished. And I like the album's aesthetic in a because it kind of presents layers in which you don't have to dig into like the deep nitty gritty of the album to enjoy it. You can take it on a surface level if you want. So a lot of people thought Don't Need You was just like about like a bad breakup or something like that. But when you really get down to it, it really is, me dealing with like mental health issues that have like I've been dealing with for years. Um, and it was just a great track to express those kinds of things in a more joyous and lighthearted kind of way. Yeah.
One, two, four.
Once I left your crazy ass, I took a therapy session. I won't be richest with the wealth, I'll be the richest in blessings. I said, you made a bet today, said I can't leave my bed today. You tapped me on my chest today, wanna rear your head on the bed today. Black dog, you be barking. I always saw your ass as a hindrance. You saw me as a target, but wait, could this be true? I don't need you. I don't need you. Wait, this is true. I don't like you. I don't like you. Can't you see I'm rich? Same tricks, how'd you do me like that? Running off of my back. Same tricks, you ain't shit. How'd you do me like that? Running off of my back, you ain't shit. Wait, could this be true? I don't need you. I don't need you. Wait, could this be true? I don't like you. I don't like you. I said, yo, ass is stinky, and you built like a mole. And I'll boot your ass to London if you can't take a stroll. I feel better, I'll be awesome when you stop jogging on my dome. Goddamn, I said, wait, could this be true? I don't need you, I don't need you. Wait, this is true. I don't like you, I don't like you. Just wait in the hallway, babe. I don't like the smell of bro. Can't you see I'm rich? Same tricks, how'd you do me like that? Running off of my back. Same tricks, you ain't shit. How'd you do me like that? Running off of my back, you ain't shit. Wait, could this be true? I don't need you, I don't need you. Wait, this is true. I don't like you, I don't like you. Wait, could this be true? I don't need you, don't need you. Wait, could this be true? I don't like you, don't like you.
Our guest today on the bridge is Genesis Owusu. The new album, Smiling with No Teeth, is out March 5th. You have such an interesting personal story. Your folks are from Ghana, and there's like a huge wealth disparity in Ghana. You know, there's people who have a lot of money and people who don't have a lot of money, and they essentially moved to Australia. And like how they picked that, but at the age of 2, with the concept of giving you and your brother greater opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that you just don't remember anything from Ghana prior to moving.
Yeah, like you said, we moved when I was 2 years old, so I have very fragmented memories, but we've been back since, and I've got to re-meet a lot of family, because most of my family's still over there, and really indulge in the culture. And I feel like even though I didn't remember much initially, especially like growing up with my family who are from Ghana and lived most of their life in Ghana, like the culture is still so subconsciously ingrained in me. So yeah, getting back there and really indulging in it first person was amazing.
You know, you often perform in clothes from your homeland, and I just like I wish assimilation wasn't like a cultural, you know, appropriation wasn't a thing, because boy, I think everybody should wear clothes that are cool, you know. It's just like how come everybody can't wear those, but it doesn't work that way. You gotta stay in
Yeah,
your lane, you know.
yeah, man. But you know, everyone can feel the energy from it and vibe with it in their own way.
Yeah, your mom was a gospel singer. Your
Yeah.
dad was, or maybe is, for that matter, a probation officer. He had a really eclectic taste in music, and I think that that might have been some of what you were referring to earlier, because you know he would listen to Ray Charles, he'd listen to Bob Marley, he'd listen to Michael Jackson, and then he'd put on some party music from Ghana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like one thing I always say, like one of the most vivid memories was like, um, you know, one weekend he put on like Missy Higgins, which was like folk
Sure.
indie singer, and then the next weekend he put on Missy Elliott. It was just like, yeah, it was a very eclectic sounding household. You never knew what you were going to hear next. I don't think he really knew either. I feel like maybe he just saw album covers that looked interesting and tried to just see what they sounded like. And
Yeah,
I've kind of inherited the same thing. Like I'm
that's
just
the way we
very
did it
curious.
before the internet. You had no way of knowing, right? You know, you want new
Yeah.
music, you got nobody telling you, helping you out. It's just like you just take a flyer. So you moved to Australia and you have landed in Canberra, and it's like it is. There just aren't people in Canberra who look like you. It's
Mhm.
overwhelmingly white, and you watched your brother try to become a part of that culture, and watching his struggles, you decided to go the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I feel like there's only really those two options, like try to assimilate or really just try to yeah, go in the complete opposite direction and just be you to the fullest. And neither of them are necessarily right or wrong. Um, you know, either works for different people. But yeah, just seeing him try to assimilate with people successfully, like he's a great lovable person, everyone loves him. um it just didn't I just didn't see the gratification in that when it came to me. Like I didn't identify with a lot of these people and they didn't identify with me unless I was commodifying myself to their needs. So I kind of just took the label of the outcast as like a badge of pride, and it really um helped me grow into myself and figure out who I really am as a person.
You know, I kind of wondered if maybe being that outcast or that outsider back then sort of fueled this, you know, genre, you know, breakdown, you know, where
Definitely.
like you don't want to be, if people pick one label for you, they try to put you in the hip hop category. And that's clearly a huge part of who you are, but you just refuse to stop there. So maybe it's an attitude thing, right?
Definitely. I feel like, yeah, growing up the way I did, it really did yeah, make a lot of my actions purely out of like protest. I just did it because people expected me to do something else. So I wanted to go in the opposite direction.
So your music really started with you writing poetry. How old were you when you started doing that?
I remember writing my first poem in third grade. So I would have been like, I don't know, like seven or eight. Yeah. And then it just went from there.
You fell in love with Maya Angelou, Gil Scott-Heron, Langston Hughes, but then somewhere along the way, you kind of realized, well, you know, rappers.
Yeah. Yeah. So my brother was along with my mom singing gospel and us having like the African music and my dad being very eclectic in his sound. My brother was really into like rock when I was growing up. But then everything kind of changed for the both of us when he discovered Kanye West. And from there, we both got into hip hop. And one of my first rapper after Kanye West that I discovered was Lupe Fiasco. And the way that he puts words together in meanings and double, triple entendres, and I don't know, just like the way he puts his words together. Um, and then finding other rappers in that same kind of lineage really kind of made me question through school, like, why aren't we learning about these people in English? Like, I identify way more with these people than, you know, some guy from the 17th century. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope the stress don't kill me. Chip away my heart, expect a coin to fill me. Man, my joy so filthy. Pray to some I'm still me. Boy, these demons scheming, preaching, leave them, will deceive him. He's believing, say we're on his team then. I've been bleeding, wounds are deepen when I chain my freedom. Reason weak and beaten, ripping curls like I'm fucking Keenan. Think I'm beaming, I'm the beacon, I'm the young and decent. When I'm in this show committing treason. Truth is that I'm often blue. So many cracks in the ceiling, I try to mend them with glue. What a profession. Sleeping sessions, curse or blessings, need refreshing. See, I be depression. Throwing pills like M&M's and I'm hoping they don't relapse. Stage a crowd yelling, don't get lost in feedback. Who said I should take it slow, wish I could heed that. Yeah. But I look so good, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so good, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold inside these chains. Yeah. I do this and I do that. On call from sun to moon right. Phone can never go flat. Who knows where else my work at? Miss this and I miss that. But there's first steps in gift wraps. Hope I don't miss my first step. Somebody put me in the circus. I'm the world's best juggler. Only two hands. Pretend that it don't fuck with my jugular. I'm a new man. Praying that my music will bubble up. This my true man. Show will rock the boat. I'm still smuggler. Where's the movement? I fight for my existence. One with my persistence. Hate to say I play Russian roulette with my resistance. Play a void of all assistance. Life, my love, my business. Goon playing charades inside the face of corporate. Sanitized organic ties for my horizon. Modern times I can't deny internal life in hopes that I be televised. Sacrifice a general life for goals that leave me terrified. Yeah. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold inside these chains. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold, yeah. When I look so cold, but I feel so cold, yeah.
So your brother is actually a respected artist as well, Citizen K, and that all started in your family home. He sort of took over the study and built a studio, and I think he failed pretty regularly to keep the volume down.
Yeah, I'm actually in that room right now. It's been stripped down since he's moved out, but I'm in the original room right now. Yeah, he got a lot of noise complaints from the neighbors, definitely. But you know, now he's where he is. So you know, shout out the neighbors. You fueled his passion.
So I guess that he knew you had been writing poetry or thought that you had words in you, and so he was constantly bugging you to come in and rap on over the top of what he was building, and you pushed that away for a good little period.
Yeah, it was kind of like in the same vein as, you know, growing up protesting everything, you know, being a younger brother of 5 years. Everyone, you know, sees you as like, oh, that's mini Kojo, like that's the little brother following in his brother's footsteps. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. But eventually it got to me. He got to me. So and I'm thankful for that, because now I'm here. He finally got me in with one of the beats he was producing, and I was just like, I just finally gave in. I was like, yep, sure, I'll write to it. Didn't write to it for maybe a week or two, and then suddenly some inspiration hit me when I was in a public bathroom, and I wrote my first verse to his beat.
That is such an odd factoid. I think that one's gonna follow you around, and then at different points, you have actually performed together as the Ansa brothers.
Yeah.
And there's some cross-pollination in your solo works too.
Yeah, definitely. That was a crazy time. That was when I first started performing live, and I was about 14. Yeah, I was 14 years old. I still had the beard though, so I looked a lot older. So I was just getting into like these like bars in school on school nights and just performing, and then just going to school the next day. And it was like, I felt like I was living like some weird double life or something like that. But it was a really interesting time. Yeah. And I learned how to perform from that, like at an early age. So coming in as Genesis Owusu, it was really helpful.
Our guest today on the bridge is Genesis Owusu. The debut full-length album, Smiling with No Teeth, is out March 5th. I know that you have been a fan of Moses Sumney. And I think that it's really interesting because he's got a similar yet different story from you. His parents also from Ghana. He was raised in California, but moved back to Ghana at the age of 10 for 6 years. And he struggled there to a certain degree. You were really excited that you were going to get to go see him at a show, and then your car broke down.
Yeah.
And well, get him next time.
Yeah.
And then you happen to have a show the next day, and you show up at the show, and it's like Moses Sumney is there, members of the Free Nationals, Anderson Paak's band wander in, and all of a sudden it's like they're not playing for you, you're playing for them. And that had to be just, whoa.
It definitely took a lot of glances. Like, I just didn't believe it. I was like, is that? No, surely that's not. Oh, okay, wait, is that? Yeah, okay, that's them. Like, it took a lot of like questioning myself to really believe they were actually there at my show. And I got to speak to all of them. They were all really lovely people, and I performed, and they stayed and watched. And after that, Callum Connor from the Free Nationals was like, "Hey, if you ever come to LA, let's make some music together."
So how long did it take you to buy that plane ticket?
I called my manager that same night, and we hooked it up. We made it happen.
Yeah, that had to be a big moment for you. And did you feel like that's a big moment in your path to where you are?
Yeah, definitely. The music that I made with Callum Connor is still my biggest music to this date, like my most known. So yeah, it was a huge stepping stone, and I can't wait to keep it moving.
So we've all been staying home, we've all been locked away, but that's going to change before too long. And so let's talk about your live show, because we want you to come to Kansas City at some point in the not too distant future. And my understanding is that when people go to your show, they should just sort of be ready for about anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the music. Never expect I'm going to do anything, because I'll do the opposite.
So you have some friends that often join you and they are the Goon Club.
Yeah.
And they will start off at times looking somewhat menacing, but then tear off their clothes, and there'll be like non-military clothes underneath this scary garb, and then they start throwing rose petals, and there's there's almost like a story arc to these guys that are just running around.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I really respect the art of live performance, and I see it differently to just performing songs you've recorded. I see it more closer to theater than just re-performing songs you've made. And the analogy of like the Goons was kind of like my story growing up, and I just happened to find people who fit in a similar vein, where like you grow up in such a white place that you become the outcast and people don't really understand you, and they put a certain perception on you that is the furthest from the truth, which represents, you know, when the Goons are running out in their military gear acting all threatening, because, you know, when you're in a space like that and you look like me, a lot of the time you're either perceived as a threat or a novelty. So we come out and we're just like, okay, here are the boogeymen you wanted to see. And then as the set goes on, they take off their balaclavas and their military garbs, and we wear our dashikis and we start throwing rose petals and singing love songs, and really showing you what we and who we really are as people, aside from the boogeymen that you want to see.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Say y'all wanna roll in the sea, y'all wanna live in the dream, y'all never play with the team. Say y'all wanna roll in the sea, y'all wanna live in the dream, y'all never play with the team. Oh, you want it right now, you get it all from me. Know that it's hard not to notice me. Thinking you down, get it all for free, yeah, only broke, yeah. Oh, what you gotta say, live in that booty shot, dark skin with a pizza, yeah. Oh, I thought that was wretched, and that was bad shit. Beat them down and discredit the culture as that black shit. Picking back up for yourself, see credits and detention. Now you so intrigued, Want it right now, you get it all from me. Know that it's hard not to notice me. Thinking you down, get it all for free. Yeah, only broken. Say y'all wanna roll in the sea. Y'all wanna live in the dream. Y'all never been with the team. Y'all wanna roll in the sea. Y'all wanna live in the dream. Y'all never been with the team. Say my nose is wide, my blood is honey in my dark skin is colder with the cocoa when the sun in the sky. What they know, mama, let's just go, mama. Maybe that's why they wanna wear with their clothes, mama. Yeah, we were fruit from trees, now you watch us grow, yeah. And my grace is beaming right up to my throat, yeah. All my people shining bright as see we know, yeah. Say y'all wanna roll in the sea, y'all wanna live in the dream. Y'all never been with the team. Say y'all wanna roll in the sea, y'all wanna live in the dream. Y'all never been with the team. Oh, you want it right now, you get it all from me. Know that it's hard not to notice me. Thinking you down, get it all for free. Yeah, only roll in if you with the team. Or you want it right now, you get it all from me. Know that it's hard not to notice me. Thinking you down, get it all for free. Yeah, only roll in. You only roll in. Oh, yeah. Said you only roll in. You only roll in. Said you only roll, only roll.
A lot of bands, you know, like the Grateful Dead, it's the Deadheads. You kind of encouraged your audience to join the Goon Club.
Yeah, definitely.
So is it are we goons now? Is that
Yeah, man. You're in.
okay? All right.
I feel the vibe. You're in.
proud to be a goon. You know, you have to be so excited. It's like, you know, less than a month now until the world gets to hear this album. And it's
Yeah.
been getting airplay in the United States, and you've already been a big deal in Australia. So this is like, and yeah, but you know, you're sitting in a room a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's really crazy. It's like we actually finished the album like so long ago, maybe in like May or June, and I've just been sitting on it since then, just waiting. But now that it's so close, it almost feels like it's crept up on me, which is really weird. Yeah, like you said, like we've been getting a lot of traction, which is so lovely, but it's just sitting in my bedroom, it's hard to really um see what's going on to the fullest extent. But it's, yeah, the love from everywhere has just been crazy and so heartwarming, and I can't wait to come through to Kansas and see it in real life.
It's going to be great. So we are really excited for you. We're really excited for the album. Smiling with No Teeth is out March 5th. Genesis Owusu, so nice to meet you, and thanks so much for your time today.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me.